Hello, Cozy Detectives, and welcome to the Blanket Fort Files. I'm Joy,
And I'm Larissa.
and we're here to report on all things comfy and cozy.
I'm excited to be in the blanket fort, feeling
Yay.
some fall vibes.
Yeah.
I'm in autumn.
I should have worn mine.
I know.
We were even pre-recording. I'm just like, I'm just going to keep sitting here in this same top. We could have matched. We'll figure it out at some point.
Yeah, we should have matched, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You wore yours recently, right?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think it's
remember which
for,
episode it was.
I know, in the multiverse of the Blanket Fort. It was in, I think, the episode of the Fall Cozies or something, or
That's this
I'll
one.
have to figure. No, the list one where we're like the 10 list.
The tips.
Yeah, this is our recent cozies. Spoilers.
Okay, I was like, that's this one. Okay. We're having a hard time, but we're in the blanket fort. All is good.
It's so good.
But we're both kind of having some fall weather lately, right? That's what you texted me this
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It feels like it's being so flip-floppy. Like a second ago it was really sunny and now it's kind of back to like overcast, which I like. It gives like the
Vibes.
that's
why.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sing it because copyright, so I'm just gonna look like an idiot.
That made my whole day. We were stressed with these tech problems. All that stress has gone away. That was the funniest thing I've ever experienced. But I knew exactly what you were talking about. It's either the Hoa Hoa thing from Twilight or the La 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 from Gilmore Girls. Those are
I feel like the
vibes.
overcast is the Twilight because apparently that type of the world area of the world is like really overcast. I've only ever been there when it's not overcast, so I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I be bringing sun with me, so y'all best be ready.
Joy is bringing the joy.
I know, doing my best out here in these streets. But
well, that's like a good little transition because Twilight is on my fall movie bucket list. Even though, so my sister and I put together this fall vibes movie playlist. God, words! Watch list. Dude. And a lot of them aren't necessarily fall specific. They're more like fall adjacent, fall vibes. We have some like more dark academia type movies. Or there's a couple that we've just really been wanting to watch lately and we put it on. Like we watched Center Stage last night. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It is a ballet movie. So I grew up doing ballet, so it was a good one for me, but it really has nothing to do with fall, although we justified it because the characters are starting at this ballet program school kind of company dealio. I don't know the technical phrase for it because my brain is just like short-circuiting right now. But we're like, oh, it's back to school. That counts. And then there's a couple of like really cozy sweaters and coats in the movie, so we're like, this counts as fall. But we watched No Reservations last week, which we talked about. Yeah, I was texting you because I forgot there was a nice little blanket for it in there, which is good. But it's sad. We had a couple sad back-to-backs because we did that one and then we did Dead Poet Society.
Oh, that's a brutal one. I've only ever seen that one, I think, once or twice because
it's so sad.
Yeah. So, but it's hard because it's like we talked about this, like 90% of the movie is just like that perfect dark academia vibe that you want. And then like that last 10% just make you cry. So
yeah, I was thinking about doing a case file on it and then just kind of giving the trigger warning. If you've never seen it, stop at the play. At the end of the play, that's where it ends happy.
ending.
But I do want to do a case file. But if you are like been wanting to watch it before I do a case file on it, because spoiler, we have like the rest of the year planned, which I'm very so excited about. So there's not really room to put it in. Do check trigger warnings on it. If you want, just message us on Instagram. We can let you know. Because I don't want to spoil it, but you also should know that
There's
it deals
sad.
with because it's
Yeah.
very heavy themes. But I do
Yeah.
really love the movie. So we're excited to work through the rest of the movie list.
Yeah,
And
fun.
yeah.
I've been watching again through One Tree Hill, and it just happenstanced that season 3, I'm in the middle of it. Season 3 episode like so far like 12 to 14-ish is like
Mm-hmm.
during fall, the
Ooh,
fall
fun.
leaves and
All the
everything, and I'm like,
vibes.
yes, I'm in it. And the coats. I feel like I'm gonna get her name wrong. No, I think this is actually it. Sophia Bush. Isn't that who
Mm-hmm.
is the brunette? Yeah. She has some of the wildest, best coats. Like in like very Lorelai way. Like so like Lorelai and her and um Rachel from Friends, they like all three of them
Mm.
wear the Earl Jean, like corduroy with the
Yeah, the
hers,
little Sherpa.
yeah, the Sherpa lining. So it's very fall vibes.
Love it.
I love it. I'm here for it.
Speaking of kind of that early 2000s, you have an update on your chairs that you recently talked about?
Yes, I finally got chairs for downstairs. I've been trying to make my house somewhere between, honestly, somewhere between Nancy Meyers and Nora Ephron, to be honest. Somewhere in that like
Perfect.
kind of like 90s, 2000s, but like the romanticized version of the 90s and 2000s. So I got 2 chairs off of Facebook Marketplace, and I did not like the feet. The feet made them look very 2010. And so I found out on Amazon you can just get like new feet. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
did. And that helps them be more like not 2010, more 90s ish. I've thought about recovering them, but then I got a slip cover and I sent it to Larisa because I was like, this just looks like I threw a blanket over it. Like, this is not the vibe that I want. And I think it's because of the fabric. It's like this like
Oh,
velvety.
yeah, the velvet.
Yeah, it's
You'll
something
have
where
to
like,
let me know
I
if
don't
you
know.
end up doing that waffle
Oh yeah.
knit-esque one that I got, which it does bunch, but it doesn't look wrinkly, but it'll get a
Yeah.
little bunchy here and there, but I think that's just kind of the nature of slip covers. Um, so let me know if you end up trying this
Yeah.
second time.
I will. It just kind of has that, those pillows where you like you push one way and it's one fabric, you push the other. That's kind of like
Mm,
how it feels, and that's where I'm like, ooh, that's gonna bug me. I'm gonna be like constantly like wiping my chairs or something.
yeah,
So
I
can't do it.
know exactly how you feel. I have a blanket like that in my room.
Mm.
That's kind of that same. It's very fuzzy. It's not like fleece, but it's kind of,
Yeah, it's
I don't
that
know.
like a
It's a
little bit
good,
thicker pile.
yeah. But
Yeah.
if I have it on my bed, I'll just sit there like rubbing it.
Right?
Because I don't know. I love textures. Even like going
Mm.
to a store, I'll like, ooh, towels, ooh, this sweater, ooh, this. I just want to like feel it. I'm a very like
Yes.
tactile person, I think. Oh no, did I freeze
You,
again? Or
I
is
don't
that you?
know. You said I just kept smiling because I was like, it'll look fine. You said I'm a very like, and then it cut out for me. What was the last part
Okay,
of that
I'll say it
sentence?
again. I think I'm
Yeah.
like a very like tactile person.
Yes. One of the items on my fall bucket list, also kind of talking about fall type items, I'm looking for a fall quilt. So in the spring
Ooh.
slash summer, I found a very pretty one, like for the bed. I feel like I want like
Mm-hmm.
a big one, but I haven't found one that like fits the vibe. Either it's like not quilted and like looking quilted, or it's either really small or it's not the right colors or something. So that's my like next thing I've been looking when you're talking about tactile, because like I love that quilt. I love just the details that are
Yeah.
in it. So if I can find a fall one, that would be
Yeah, I'll have to
oh,
go through. So my aunt, she was like she never did it professionally, but she made quilts
mm.
all the time. I have a
Oh
bunch that
wow.
she made. And so when she passed away, my mom and I went through her stuff
Mm.
and got a bunch of her quilts. So I'll look through and see if we have any.
Aw.
Because
Yeah.
my mom listens to this, and so I feel like she would be okay with you having one too. So I'll
Oh
look and see if there's any good fall ones.
yeah, or if it's anything like coquette vibes, because you could
Yeah.
do it. Quilts are also so fall and like
hmm
cozy. Yeah, I really, really like them.
Well, are we ready to
Think
jump
so.
into our episode? So, kind of along the lines with some of our past episodes, we are doing something fall that we recently found cozy. So, if you've been here since the beginning, this is what we did for our very first episode.
Ah,
We did this in summer, and I'm excited for a new season, the coziest season so far,
yeah.
and kind of jumping into some new fun cozy case files if you want to
Mhm.
start us off.
Yes. So my case file today is about a dopamine menu. If,
Ooh.
yeah, if you haven't heard of it, I think it was started on TikTok. I'm not exactly sure, but basically it's something where like think of it as like a food menu with multiple courses. So there's a
Okay.
starter, a can't get the zoom in and out on this thing, right? So there's a starter, a entree, a sides, desserts, and then specials. So really what it is, I think it's meant to kind of get out of that doom scroll feel of things where you're not
Mm.
really sure what to do. And
You're
so
just
you
like, I'm
kind
gonna
of
be on my phone.
exactly, you kind of just end up on your phone. And then for me, I feel like time will just pass and all of a sudden it'll like magically be like 3 hours later. And I'm like, oh no, what
Yes, it's just
happened?
like such a time suck. So I'm really excited to hear about this because
Yes.
I need that in my life.
Yes. So I went and created my own little dopamine menu. I had it
How
very fall
fun.
vibes and fall themed. And we can share that because I also created, as part of my 10 to 15-minute starters, I
Hmm.
created 2 phone backgrounds, which I thought were kind of a cute, fun
Love
thing as
it.
well. So we could share those also on Instagram. And really, the feeling of it, there's multiple ways to do it, but the creator that I heard describe it in the way that I started thinking about it is in a way of thinking of yourself. So, like, I've had a few different career paths at this point through college, through like high school, kind of beyond, and different aspects of those, kind of thinking about them as like different women are still me. You know, it's like
Hmm.
it's a past era, but they still are part of me. And so thinking about it in a way of what are things from that time that really brought joy and kind of helped me like be like my best self in a certain aspect of
I
things.
love
Like,
that.
yeah. And that's where like, cause it's hard to think about like goals and things like that in very large ways, but thinking about it of like, who's the person that I want to be? Like, where do like in the best version of life, where is that?
Hmm.
And so kind of adding that into small chunks of things where if so like for example, I'm like scrolling backwards and everything. Your
You're
girl
fine.
just it's a technical type of day. So in my dopamine menu for starters, so starters are a 5 to 15 minute kind of time slot. So it's just smaller things, not very overwhelming. I wrote write a card to a friend, read a physical book, journal, or play the piano or the ukulele because that's actually a real ukulele behind me.
Oh, I don't think I knew you played either of those.
Yeah, and it's just things where thinking about it, like I took piano back in like elementary school and I really liked it. I don't have a piano, so I don't know really how to do that. But
You get a
it
little keyboard.
yeah, right? I have one, but I don't have a plug for it. And I
Oh
tried to use another
no.
plug and not gonna lie, it like sparked and I panicked and
Oh
unplugged it. I was like, I'm gonna burn
no.
down this whole place on accident.
Our biggest
Uh,
fear.
right? I know, hence the candle warmer. But it's just things where it's just small things where like when you think back on that time, it doesn't feel like a doom scroll. Like writing a card to a friend, like I want to be the type of friend that writes a card and like sends that out.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like for me it felt like, and the way of looking at dopamine menu is less of like for me, because like even talking about walking, I have like a like an indoor walking pad because your
I
girl
love
plus
it.
nature equals allergies. so, so for me, like it's not as relaxing to go outside and walk because it could potentially like ruin the rest of my day with allergies. So,
Yeah.
but like if nature is like a thing that like really brings you like joy and brings you like calm, then yeah, absolutely go on a walk. And so that's where like we'll share like the template of it as well, because then you can kind of fill in your own dopamine menu because obviously like yours would be different than mine.
Yeah.
And so the entrees section is 45 minutes plus. So this is something where you can kind of sink more of your teeth into. So a few of my ideas were make something with no particular use, plan Christmas gifts, and then make my home more hospitable. And
Mm.
yeah, I just felt like it was so I actually made something with no particular use.
Ooh, I want to see.
Because I was thinking about it and I was like, okay, I've been seeing these online. I think they're really cute. It's a craft that I've already kind of done before, but I did it in a different way. And I'll tell you what, now that I've done it in this different way, I would not go back to painting it the way I did
Is it
previously.
air dry clay?
Yes. So
I'm
I
glad
got,
it worked out easier.
oh my word, so much easier, even to the point where like I'm going to show you them where I didn't show the previous one because it just ended so
Oh.
it was fun, but it's like the thing where it's like, okay, the no particular use side of it will make sense in a second. So I have been seeing a lot of little magnets pop up that you could put on the
Mhm.
fridge, and I thought they were so cute. And so I made little food magnets. So here's my
Cute.
little baguette.
Stop, that's adorable.
So
That's
I need to put a
so
magnet on the
cute.
back. That's the one thing I
Yeah.
haven't done. But I made it a little baguette, and then I painted it, and then I glossed it. And
It
so
looks for legit, like, very professional.
I know my blueberry's not as cute, but
Aw,
he's
I still think it's cute.
he's like the size of a blueberry. And then I made a little piece of toast with jam.
Precious. Oh, I love that. That made me so happy. That gave me
Right?
dopamine.
Right? And so I felt like it makes me smile every time I look at it. It did take me like a good amount of time to like do, but I just feel like it puts me in a different mental place than like you wake up out of doom scrolling and you're like, whoa, what just happened? So
Right.
and then I have a pumpkin that I have not painted yet because I
Cute.
got very nervous because he's a little bit thicker, so I had to let him dry longer.
Yeah.
But my plan is to like super glue and then put them either on the fridge or that's my first idea was the fridge. But now like that I see them kind of pop around in my office in different places while they've been drying, just makes me happy. So maybe I'll just keep them in here somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where to put them, but I don't know. I just want to see them in my day to day. So
That's
that was
really
my
cool.
craft that I actually did of my dopamine menu.
Love it.
And then certain things too of like planning out Christmas gifts, I feel like is a helping future joy type of a thing because I feel like it just sneaks up on you so quickly and then
Yeah,
it's like,
I'm
oh
always
no.
last minute with that. Yeah.
Right? Me too. And so if I can do things to help future joy out, that would be great. For sides, they're meant to be something where you do this activity along with another. So it's not like I would not say inherently being on your phone is like a particular bad thing. It's just when it becomes like that doom scroll where you like lose track of
Right.
time, that's when for me I'm like, okay, this isn't really like the healthiest thing for me to do.
Yeah.
So on the way of like the good side of things, I put like go grocery shopping with a podcast in or like a playlist because I
Fun.
feel like those are things that like I really enjoy listening to fun either like songs or romanticizing life that way or like listening to a podcast I'm like learning something. I put work with a candle going and then those are the only two I had for that because it was kind of hard to like pair everything together.
Yeah.
But
I do that. I like unless I'm just running in to get one thing, I don't go into a store without headphones and listening to a
mm,
book because A, I just don't like being around a lot of people, so that kind of lets me be in my own
mm,
space. And then I don't have to feel anxious or stressed. I'm just like in the
yeah.
book. Um, so yeah, and when people are like, "Oh, you read so much," and I'm like, "Because I'm literally always with my audiobook." So I
Yes,
really like doing that
yes.
in a store.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I like the idea of just, okay, this is a mundane task I have to do, but let me do something
Yes.
simultaneously to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So
Yes.
I think that's a
Yes.
good idea.
Yeah, and then the desserts, I kind of took a different way. A lot of the desserts that I saw as examples were like shop something online or like do something online that way, but just for me, I don't find I mean, I will say I'd be looking on Facebook Marketplace for stuff. So like that I'm like, "Ooh, it's coming up" because I just feel like
Right.
it's like really fun to see the antiques of all of that. But for me, I put like plan a trip because that's like it's like a thing that you don't get to do very often, but it would be really fun to do. So it's like, ooh, like I
Hmm.
can plan a trip. Or I said write down 5-year goals because I feel like
Yeah.
again, it's just helping future joy out. And then for specials, let me see what examples did I have here? I wrote a I only have one. I wrote get a packet of stickers. So I felt like that would be cute to kind of like pair
Hmm.
with my 5 to 15 minutes. I'm like, ooh, like I have new stickers I could use. So I thought those were a fun thing to
For
do.
the specials, is that just like a little like extra little something, or I don't know if you explained that one.
I think specials for me, I took that as not as a dessert where it's like if you have too much of it, it can feel overwhelming, but as either like a chef's special of something that again
Mm.
you don't get very often, but when you get it, it's very exciting. Or I wrote like maybe like treat yourself a little special. I think that's where like the interpretation of it can be a little different. Um, so I don't know the exact definition of the specials, but that's how I kind of interpreted that.
Yeah, I like that. So when you are like going through the menu, is it something where like, okay, I have 10-15 minutes, let me go to that category, or I know I'm going to be on my phone? Like how is your brain like
Yeah.
know to switch over to using this? Have you figured that out yet?
The way that I've seen it described is I've heard it's very good for ADHD, because I was seeing a lot of like
Mhm.
ADHD slash dopamine menu were like the example like
Yeah,
titles of it.
that's why I'm curious because I'm like, I
Yeah.
really like this, but making that like conscious
Yes.
switch is hard, I think.
Yes. And so I think that's where the way that I created my own dopamine menus, where each of them were different, I guess I'm going to call them slides, but they're the size of a phone screen. So I created one, which is just like, it just says rest is important. Oh, you really can't see that on camera, but we'll share it. But it says rest is important as just kind of like that self reminder. I think you could use
Mhm.
these as that phone screen.
Mhm.
Or I don't know if I said this yet or not, but I saw one creator do a like Saturday special. So it was just like, here's a list of ideas for things for Saturdays that you could do. And so I feel like just kind of allowing your brain to like trigger that thought in like, okay, it's Saturday, I don't know what to do, but here's a list of things that like previous me thought of to
Yeah.
do. I feel like could be really helpful. If the Cozy Detectives have any particular way to like help your brain trigger into this, definitely let us know. I just kind of was thinking about like phone backgrounds or computer backgrounds
Mhm.
or
Something
like
that you would
lock
see
screen.
often.
Yeah, something that would just kind of like pop that up. So
Yeah. That kind of reminds me, I recently saw a video, something similar, but she did a dopamine basket because she
oh.
had a problem of like impulse buying, which I
Mm.
can be guilty of sometimes, where if she got anything mini or extra in something, like maybe a sample of shampoo or like a mini, like those extra stickers, you would
Ah,
take a couple. So when you're wanting to like buy something, you can grab it from your little like treasure box.
that's
So I thought
cute.
that would be fun to start. But then my problem would be, oh, let me go out and get a bunch of things to put in my treasure box.
Yeah, me too. I know. I really wanted to do like for the like magnets. I really wanted to do like
Mhm.
polymer clay because I was like, "Ooh, everybody's doing polymer clay, and that seems like that would be so much better." And then I was like, "Okay, I have this. Let me just try to use this."
Good job.
I feel like it worked out. The one thing I will
Yeah.
say is I did get new. So to speak of, I don't think I actually explained why, but I got acrylic paints. And they worked
Mm,
so much better, like exponentially better. Which
good.
there's a part of it too, where it's just like,
There's a
okay, now that
learning
I
curve.
yeah, and that I know that like it's a hobby. It's not for a particular reason. Like it doesn't have to be practical. It can just be something random and fun that I like. So there's an aspect of that too of like, okay, giving myself some grace of I guess I bought the acrylic, but it's fine. Like that's
Right.
also okay. Like it's
Yeah.
okay. So
Love it.
that is my case file
So
this week.
fun. You've definitely inspired me to make one. So,
Yeah, well sure. I have the way that I put the areas is I did kind of tilt them down a little bit to like keep on your phone screen, but we can also put them in the middle of the screen too. So that way you can just keep it wherever you want or something
yeah,
like that.
I
So
love it.
yeah. Rissa, tell us about your
Fun.
case file.
So, my recent fall cozy was introduced to me by one of our cozy detectives.
Ooh,
So, I'm
cute.
really excited to get to talk about this. So, shout out to Miles.
Mm.
So,
I know
they are
Miles.
a cozy detective who created a fan page for the franchise that I'm talking about called The
Mm.
Good Witch, and the page is Grey House B&B.
Is it a bed and breakfast theme?
I don't think so. But so I'll get into the house
Mm.
in a second, which is kind of B&B themed, but I don't
Love
think the
bed and
page is
breakfast.
necessarily related to a bed
Gotcha.
and breakfast. But
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Miles, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Correct me if I got that wrong. But I this is a pretty big franchise, which I didn't really
oh.
know going into it. Um, but it is from Hallmark, and I'm going to kind of be
Oh.
focusing in on the first movie, which was in 2008, made for TV. All of these were made for Hallmark, which I'm not usually into Hallmark vibes, like sometimes in Christmas, but other than that, I kind of shy away from
Mm,
it because
I
it's.
can I can jump into a Hallmark hole but every now and then. It's
um,
cute. It's fun.
but
I like the decorations a lot.
yes, and I was very pleasantly surprised with just how cozy it was. Like it definitely had the
Mm,
cheesy elements of a Hallmark movie, but not too bad. Like I was thinking, like
nice.
Halloween Town on Disney Channel feels way
Mm.
cheesier to me than this. And there, to me, there is a little bit of it reminded me of Gilmore Girls in a way, and I'll talk about that at the end. So this movie was written by Rod Spence and directed by Craig Price. And the main actress is Catherine Bell, and she plays the character Cassandra, or goes by Cassie by short some of the time, Nightingale. And then Chris Potter, who plays the main male lead, who is the police chief named Jake Russell. So the movie takes place in this small town called Middleton, which again reminds me of Stars Hollow, just kind of that quirky, zany little small town. It's filmed in Ontario, but Middleton is set in America. So just a little behind the scenes there.
That's also Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, exactly. At least the pilot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Cassie inherits what's called the Gray House, which was the inspiration for Miles's page. And so she moves in and also opens up this like apothecary type shop called Bell Book and Candle. And so she inherits this house from past ancestors. Her parents passed away when she was little, and so Cassie was placed in foster care. So kind of in a roundabout way, got back to her family roots through the Gray House. And it's allegedly haunted by the former owner, the Gray Lady. But in the movie, there's no like actual like hauntingness that comes out. Like it's not scary, creepy, spooky. It's like so cozy. I really, really enjoyed it. And so kind of towards the beginning when she's getting settled, Jake, the police chief, he has 2 kids, Lori and Brandon, and they're about to get attacked by this dog. So Cassie comes in and she kind of like talks to the dog and gets him to back off. And so they're like, oh my God, you saved us. We love you, whatever, like very happy. So kind of throughout the movie, Cassie is really just helping the kids with their different little problems. Like they're kids, so they're not major problems, but like Lori has bad dreams with monsters. So Cassie just kind of gives her some practical advice to deal with that, and like tells her she kind of like tricks her brain into like saying over and over, like, don't dream of bunnies, don't dream of bunnies. So then she ends up having a dream about bunnies instead of monsters, which I thought was so cute. And then Brandon is dealing with a school bully, so she kind of helps him through that. But she just kind of has this like mysterious vibe to her, and her delivery with this advice is kind of mysterious. So like the kids think she's a witch because she just kind of has this like eerie, mysterious vibe to her. So they're like convinced. And then the mayor's wife also doesn't like her and thinks she's a witch because she just doesn't vibe with her. She's like, you're too mysterious. You don't fit into our town. So the mayor's wife kind of tries to start this petition to get her to leave the town.
Also very Hallmark.
Right? Yeah, very like, cheesy.
Small town?
You're going to get out of this town.
Yeah.
But it was so cute. And so through kind of Cassie helping Jake's kids and him also getting the mayor's wife to kind of back off, they kind of start forming feelings towards each other, because it's not a Hallmark movie without a little bit of romance.
Right.
So yeah, it was just really, really sweet and very cozy fall vibes. I mean, I think it's one of those movies where you could definitely watch it anytime during the year, but because of the whole like mysterious of Cassie, it definitely feels more fall, leaning into Halloween kind of vibes. There's this other little thing that I wrote down as another little comparison to Gilmore Girls. So she has a cat called Isis, and when Cassie talks about the cat, she says that they're in a mutual admiration society. which is a quote that Rory
Nice.
says in Gilmore Girls when she's talking to the Reverend in 21's The Loneliest Number about Emily
Aw.
and Richard. So I was like, oh, there's a little connection there. And so just kind of zooming out a little bit on the franchise as a whole, I was honestly blown away by how much content there is in here because I had never heard of this before, but
Me
it
neither.
is massive. It's like one of Hallmark's biggest
Really?
franchises.
Wow.
So there are 6 movies after this one. So
Whoa.
essentially, so this came out in 2008. Essentially, every year until 2014, they had a new like Good Witch movie come out.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really like lengthy movie series. And then after that, from 2015 to 2021, there was a TV show with
Oh, wow.
7 seasons and 10 episodes each season.
All on
Which,
Hallmark?
and I'm like,
Whoa.
that's a
That
lot.
is
And
huge.
then on top of that, so there's the 10 episodes in each season. And then for the first 5 seasons, there was an additional 2-hour kind of special episode that they released around Halloween.
Mm.
So there's these like kind of like a year in the life type of length. So there's 5
Gotcha.
of those like mini movies. Well, I guess they're not really mini because they're 2 hours, but like lengthy TV shows. It's a very massive franchise, which I was just surprised of because I had never heard of it before.
Yeah, me neither.
But it was very successful, and kind of the reason why it's so big. So they never, when they created the first one, they never intended for it to be a franchise, but because of the success of the first one and all of them, they just kind of kept going. They're like, well, people are still watching it, so we'll
Yeah.
make more, which, if you find something that works, keep going.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of shows are like, okay, well, this worked, so let's
Yeah.
do it again.
But I'm like, man, that is an undertaking to like dive into it
Yeah.
because I was like, oh yeah, I'll try this out with the one, and I'm like, there's so much more, and I don't know if I could. I love the cozy vibes and the kind of mysteriousness of it, but I'm like, I don't know if I could watch 6 more movies and then this entire TV show. Like that's a lot, but I
Yeah,
did
I
really
get that
enjoy
feeling.
it. And then a little bit of behind the scenes of it. So, and why it was so successful. The first movie was the second highest rated original movie on Hallmark at the time of its release. And the show is the highest rated TV show on Hallmark in like the history of Hallmark. So it's super
Oh,
big,
wow.
super popular. And it was also the channels, they showed a same sex couple on a TV show for the first time on Hallmark. So I thought that was
Mm.
interesting. But why I found it so cozy, it was a very uplifting and just natural Hallmark wholesome storyline. It focuses a lot on kindness, forgiveness, and community, which I
Mhm.
think are very elements that are akin to Gilmore Girls, which I
Mm.
really appreciated. Obviously, the small town in the fall vibes. And I kind of approached it if like Cassie would be Lorelai if she came to Stars Hollow as an adult. Because obviously Stars Hollow meets her at 16 and
Yeah.
she kind of grows up with the town, but I think the town wouldn't love Lorelai as much if she just kind of rolled in at 32 and like, here I
Hi,
am.
I'm quirky.
Right. They
Yeah.
would have been like,
Yeah.
okay, who are you?
Yeah.
So I think they might have kind of treated Lorelai a little bit the same way that they treated Cassie because they're both just very eccentric, very eclectic. They're both brunettes, which, obviously there's that similarity too. And then lastly, I thought the score was super
Mm.
cute, fun, cozy vibes. So definitely recommend it. If your library uses Hoopla, it is a free app and it is available at some libraries through Hoopla. So we have it through 2 different city library cards, and it was available on one, but not the other. So check if you
Interesting.
use Hoopla, it might be available for you. So
Oh, I've never even heard of Hoopla.
yeah, it's kind of
No.
a similar to like a Libby because I know a lot of places use
Oh,
that. But
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Very
Yeah. So thank you,
cool.
Miles.
Yeah. I think I know Miles. I'm almost
Yeah.
positive it's the same Miles. I don't know.
But we can get into 2%. Well, I kind of cheated with my 2% this week because mine is a eating Gilmore dish that I made this week. But
Yes.
I thought it was a very good 2% style because, so I can say this, even though technically in our world I haven't shared it yet, but I made a homemade chai latte. And I think that would be a good 2% to make a drink like that at home, because I think that's something
Yeah.
that a lot of people just go out and order at a restaurant or a store or cafe, but making it yourself brings that little bit of extra coziness to your life.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoyed kind of getting to pick out which spices I wanted to use and really kind of custom the flavor to something I knew I was really going to enjoy. So if you want to recreate mine, it is available
Yeah.
on my blog, eatinggilmore.com. Just a little plug, but
Nice.
it's really fun to kind of make your own blend of whatever kind of fits your palate. So if you
Yeah.
make one, let me know what you used. Send me pictures. I would love to see how it turned out.
Ooh, the thing, so I have like my 2% cozy. I'm going to borrow partial of yours because I got for my birthday this chai tea blend, but I did not like it because I have learned throughout literally this chai tea blend. I don't like cardamom.
Oh,
Cardamom.
cardamom. Well, that's kind
Yeah.
of like the main ingredient
I
in chai.
know.
Like all the
Yeah.
recipes. So I do a lot of like
Okay.
recipe research before, and
That's what I
all
was
of
wondering.
them,
Is
yeah,
that the
all
main
of
one?
them use cardamom.
Okay.
But you may want to see, because I have noticed a difference. They're a little bit more expensive, but if you get the pods,
Oh,
that lends a little bit more into like a more cinnamon nutmeggy type of flavor,
okay.
whereas if you just have the cardamom seeds on their own, that gets a little bit more on the savory side.
Ooh,
So
okay.
you may, if you do make your own and you want to keep it more authentic, which if you don't, it's okay, but if you did want to try it, maybe the pods, although they are kind of
Gotcha.
expensive, so that would be an expensive try. But that might also help with the flavor a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense because the other thing that I noticed is, so I was also gifted like this honey, which I do
Mm.
like the honey. I thought it was the honey I didn't like, but I'm wondering if the reason that I really love an iced chai, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering if somehow like the milk calms that flavor down or
Maybe.
something, because I really like an iced chai. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna love this hot tea,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I feel like maybe I should just add milk to it. Maybe like it's literally that simple.
Yeah, that I would start there because it
Yeah.
could just be you need a little creaminess. Because for me, with most teas, I don't like drinking them just the steeped
Just like the
water. It's
yeah.
too herby for me. I usually have to put either like agave syrup, honey, milk,
Okay.
something. So definitely start with the milk. I would also maybe add in a little, if you added honey in that, maybe that wasn't sweet enough, maybe some brown sugar could also
Ooh.
help too.
Okay. Because the thing that I did really like, so I did that the first night I got it, and I was like, "Oh, no." But Trader Joe's has this tea that once again, it's not out just yet, but I have like 6 tins of it. I have
Oh
so
no.
much. I just buy like a gazillion of the thing that I like. So I did that with the honey, and it was really nice, and just kind of having that at night, and then we've been playing every year, like around this time, we play this one video game through, my husband and I,
Hmm.
and it's just like kind of a little tradition now that we have.
Cute.
So it was fun to have that this week and kind of play through that game. But I think you're right with the chai. I have a feeling it's the lack of milk
Hmm.
that's the problem for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try that and I'll have to report back because I
Let me
really want to
know.
like chai and I've liked
Yeah.
it in the past. And I like matcha, and that's a pretty herby
Yeah, I don't like
flavor.
matcha.
See, I can do that. So I don't know.
What
It's part
video
of the
game is it?
figuring it out. Yeah, so it's called It Takes Two. It's a multiplayer, and you are playing as a couple who is it's gonna sound not cozy, but it's actually really cute and cozy. They're like going through a little difficult time in their marriage, and I think their kids wish that they would like be able to like just figure it out together.
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually shrink down and you're like these two little like stuffed animals basically. And so like in order to get through different areas, you have to work together. So you have to like go and like open the gate and then you can walk through. And so it's like a cute little collaborative game of
Fun.
two people. And you can play it in the same room, obviously, or you can play it just across the interwebs.
Oh,
So
so
if you have
like
a
you and I could
friend,
play?
yeah. So if you have a friend
Fun.
or anything like that, you could just play with the two of you. So it's
Cute.
cute and it's fun. And it kind of feels fall vibes. I think it's just because their clothes are very like hand knit. And so for me, I'm like, yes, fall.
Love it.
So
What console is it on?
it's on, we play on Steam,
Okay.
but I don't know if you can play it on the Steam Deck. Let me see. So it's considered a co-op multiplayer. All the recent reviews are very positive. So let me see. I don't know how to click these things. My husband always clicks them. I have no idea if it's no. I'll figure that out and then I'll let you know. We'll share like this game because it's really cute.
Perfect.
And I think you can buy only one copy and then give it as like a buddy pass or something like that.
Okay.
So I just know that I play it and I run around and I'm like jumping on things.
Love
And it's cute
it.
and fun.
So we actually have a new segment in this
Yes.
episode today moving forward, which I'm very excited to start including. We don't really have an official name for it, but it's essentially our Cozy Detectives 2% Cozier. So this was actually inspired by my mom. So thanks,
So
Mom.
cute.
She texted me, I don't know, a couple weeks ago now, I think, to share her 2% Cozier, which I'll read that text in a minute. And so then we asked our listeners and our followers to share theirs. So we'll start sharing a couple of those every episode just for more ideas to incorporate a little bit of extra coziness into your life. So my mom said, for a few weeks now, I've been trying to have an evening routine. Some days are more successful than others. Don't I know it?
Same.
He said, I try to wash my face with a gentle scrub and use a special lotion. Epitome of 2% right there.
Yep.
I also love doing evening qigong or stretching exercises and drinking an evening tea. So all of that was like
All the
obsessed with
above.
this. I screenshotted and sent it to Joy.
So cute.
So good job, Mom, on your 2%. So we have a couple of 2% that Cozy Detective submitted, and we have a few more tucked away for future episodes. So Joy will discuss how you can send those in.
Yes.
But Savannah Gurley UK is, I think, the username, said that she bought a salted caramel cold foam for her coffee at home. So
Yum.
love that as just like a nice little way to elevate your home coffee. And then Pramani21 finished reading a book called Business Casual, which I have been wanting to read this series. I think that's the last one. It's called the Love Light Farm series, I believe. It's by B.K. Borison. And she did it while listening to Autumn Ambience, which is just right up my alley. I love putting on those little ambient playlists or videos. So very excited to hear about your 2%. But if you want to share how they can send these in to be featured on the pod.
Absolutely. So you can do it a few different ways. So you can DM us over on Instagram at Blanket Fort Files Pod. You can also email us. So the email address for that is blanketfortfiles@gmail.com. And then just let us know what your 2% is. It can be big, small, any of the above. And then we would love to feature you as part of this segment of our Cozy 2% detectives.
Yes. And then something else you could send in that we don't know what we're doing with yet, but I think could be really fun is if you have any cozy stories or even case file suggestions that you think you want us to talk about, like Miles did. I think you could also email those to us. This is roundabout inspired. So kind of the whole format of our podcast was kind of the opposite of My Favorite Murder, which is a very popular true crime podcast where we they do a murder every episode, but we do a Cozy
Yeah,
case file.
I would not be in for a murder. I don't like spoopy. I don't like it.
Yes, very, very cozy here, obviously, in the Blanket Fort. But they also started doing mini-sodes where they talk about hometown murders that their listeners send in. So we were thinking we could do hometown cozy stories instead. So if you have anything that happened to you that brought you joy or you really thought was cozy, comforting, a favorite nostalgic throwback you want to share, email us. Again, it was blanketfortfiles@gmail.com. We'd love to hear it. And maybe we will start sharing some of those on the podcast.
Yeah, we're trying to decide. We might end up having that be its own episode, or it might be another segment on part of this. Cozy Detective submitted 2% might be on some or might be on all. So we're kind of working through it, but it's really fun to see your 2% cozies and kind of have a little bit more of that kind of interaction back and forth, because obviously the Cozy Detectives inspire us as well. So it's really fun to see what your 2% cozies are.
Yeah, and just getting to hear that we're inspiring you a little bit to make those intentional cozy choices is really special, because that's our goal, is just to bring a little bit extra coziness to your life. So thank you for sending those.
Yeah.
And you can find us on Instagram at Blanket Fort Files Pod. Please be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to your podcast. If you are listening, we are also over on YouTube, so you can watch the whole podcast over there. We would appreciate your feedback, so leave us a review. It does help us out so much. And join us next week in the Blanket Fort, where we're going to have our very first guest joining us and talking about how Gilmore Girls became a cozy TV show.
Yay, I'm so excited. Our first guest in the Blanket Fort.
I know. Making room for 3.
Aw.